I let the mob boss hear me with his rival all night. I deliberately left the window open, letting the mob boss hear everything between me and another man all night long. The next morning, he asked with a dark expression if I could make room for one more. But I just pulled my lovers closer and coldly refused. Aren't you the one who loves your little princess best? His eyes were bloodshot, yet he didn't dare come any closer. Because as his woman, I'd spent 10 years helping him build his empire, only for him to choose to marry a college girl instead of keeping his promise to marry me. His men couldn't understand, speaking up for me. Boss, Scarlett helped you build everything. She's your best weapon. Didn't you used to worship the ground she walked on? Why marry someone else now? Dominic Sterling crushed his cigarette, fingering the matching silver ring he shared with Isabella. Scarlett? A woman with blood on her hands. Every time I think about sleeping next to her, it makes my skin crawl. How could she compare to my angel? But Scarlett's brilliant. What if she finds out and turns against you? Dominic frowned, scoffing coldly. I already own all of Miami. What's one woman? You think the territory will grow legs and run away? What he didn't know was that I'd heard everything from outside the door. I tossed the medicine I'd brought for his wounds into the trash and texted his biggest rival, Vincent Russo. Want Dominic's territory and his life? It's yours. Chapter 1. I was arranging a speedboat off the island when Dominic found me. There's a big shipment coming in 2 days. I need you to personally handle the pickup with your best men. And clear out your penthouse, I need it. He gave orders in his usual commanding tone, but I found it laughable. To marry Isabella, he was really throwing me to the wolves. Even with Vincent closing in, he wanted me to risk my life bringing his little princess home. True love indeed. The penthouse? For her, of course. I responded with a cold, okay. Seeing my flat reaction, Dominic frowned in displeasure. What's with the attitude now? I haven't made us public because the situation's unstable and Vincent's watching. I can't let my guard down just for you. Your most important job is helping me escape Vincent's siege. Dominic always knew how to manipulate me. Before, I thought it was protection, so I worked even harder for him. Now I just found it ridiculous. I placed the boat requisition form in front of him and said flatly. No attitude. I'm used to it. Dominic sensed something was off, irritation flashing in his eyes. Even his signature tore through the paper. Scarlett. What's with the face? It's just a penthouse. Everything on this island is mine, including your life. Can't I command you anymore? He threw the paper in my face. From now on, don't bother me with trivial things like supply runs. I don't have time for you. Knowing he'd misunderstood, I didn't explain. I nodded perfunctorily and left, looking at the speedboat that would soon be mine, and smiled in relief. I'd spent 10 years helping Dominic build his empire. We were childhood sweethearts, brothers-in-arms who trust each other with our lives, and the most intimate of lovers. I'd always hoped to marry him, and he'd hinted that once he controlled all of Miami, he'd give me what I wanted. Only now did I realize. It was just my wishful thinking and lies he'd spun to use my feelings. Now he was marrying someone else. That evening, a team of heavily armed mercenaries escorted Isabella onto the island. In her flowing white dress, her innocent eyes were full of triumphant mockery. Sister worked so hard for Dom all these years, such dedication. I'll make sure he promotes you and sends you some male models. Can't let you stay single forever. Not like Dom couldn't wait another moment. He's marrying me tomorrow. I tightened my grip on my gun, barely restraining the urge to shoot her. Let's go. I glanced at her coldly and turned to leave. But Isabella blocked my path, pulling a diary from her bag with a sly smile. These are all the love letters Dom wrote when he missed me over the years. It's too heavy for my bag, could you throw it away for me? With that, she swayed away in her dress, leaving me facing the cold wind off the rocks, trembling as I opened the diary. April 12th, when I protected him from an ambush. Bella, if I survive this, I'll marry you. August 5th, when I heard Vincent had ambushed him on a business trip and went alone with 2 machetes to rescue him. Baby, you smell so good today. January 24th, when he was arrested and I decided to take the fall for him. If it were you, I'd never let you suffer like this. Every word in the diary stabbed straight into my heart, drawing blood like a knife. How many times had I begged Dominic to marry me, only for him to kiss my forehead? Scarlett, wait for me. I have too many enemies. I'm afraid I haven't cleared the path for you yet. Once I control all of Miami, I'll marry you, okay? But my countless pleas only got empty promises. The message finally came back, just 2 words, but they hit like thunder, leaving no way back. Deal. Unable to resist, I had to verify something, asking, August 5th, was it you who ambushed Dominic? The reply was instant, each word dripping frustration. I'm fucking innocent. Really? So that's why you chased me 9 blocks with 2 machetes? It really wasn't me. I laughed bitterly at myself. So I was just a joke to Dominic, something to play with. If that's the case, why should I stay for their amusement? After coordinating the pickup details with Vincent, I headed back but overheard Dominic talking with his men by the yacht. Boss, the bride's dress arrived, the $1 billion gown you bought at the royal auction. We're just worried about Scarlett. If she causes a scene and exposes our location, Vincent will wipe us out. Dominic waved dismissively. I love Bella, and she's the only woman I'll ever marry. Tomorrow's wedding must go perfectly. I won't allow any accidents. Not even from Scarlett. I'll make sure she stays quiet. And control your men's tongues. Anyone who leaks a word gets fed to the sharks. Though I'd already decided to leave, hearing the man who once claimed to love me dismiss me so completely still hurt. Back in my room, I packed my belongings. Besides my ID and documents, looking at the room full of weapons, I realized Dominic had never given me anything else. He only threw weapons at me, telling me to protect him. I'd once asked him for dresses and jewelry, but he'd said, "Scarlett, even in a dress with jewelry, you don't look like a woman. Don't waste them." Yet Isabella's luggage contained a truck full of jewelry and beautiful dresses. Why could she wear them but not me? I searched my closet, found a red dress at the bottom, put on high heels, and did my makeup. Just then, Isabella barged into my room. "Scarlett, you read the diary, right? Dom's true love is..." Her words caught in her throat when she saw my stunning transformation. When she recovered, she frowned and sneered, "I thought you had some dignity. Knowing Dom doesn't love you, you should slink away. Instead you're trying to seduce him, you shameless slut. I'll tear you apart." She lunged to scratch my face but was so clumsy I slapped her instead. "Scarlett. You dare hit me? Dom will make you pay." Isabella shrieked. I crossed my arms, watching her rage. "Thanks for the compliment. I definitely look better than you." A second after I spoke, she suddenly dropped to her knees, slapping herself. "Sister, I'm worthless for marrying Dom. As long as you don't ruin the wedding, you can kill me." I was confused until a vicious kick aimed at me. "Scarlett. Are you ignoring my words? How dare you bully Bella?" If Dominic's furious kick had connected, I'd have lost half my life. So what was I to him, really? A hunting dog? Something to use up and then beat whenever he needed to vent? I barely dodged, but my high heel twisted my ankle. I grimaced in pain, forcing myself to look at him. Dominic helped Isabella up, his cold eyes fixed on me. When he saw my face clearly, his eyes lit up momentarily, but his words remained icy. "Scarlett, no matter how pretty you dress up, you can't compare to half of Bella in my eyes." Isabella choked back tears, grabbing Dominic's hand. "Dom, sister made me tell her. I couldn't keep the secret." "I'm sorry." Dominic held her tenderly. "It's nothing. No one blames you." I laughed. Bitterly. A second ago he was threatening his men's lives to keep the wedding secret, but when Isabella spilled it to me, it became nothing. She really could do no wrong in his eyes. What did that make me? A fool? "So you're really marrying her?" I stared at Dominic. I desperately wanted to know how he'd explain. I thought he'd at least feel guilty, panic, beg me to let go and bless them. But Dominic just frowned dismissively. "Yes, the wedding's tomorrow. You can attend, but don't cause trouble. Scarlett, don't make me hurt you." In that instant, my last hope for Dominic shattered. It wasn't the right time. To marry Might was just because it was me. With Isabella, suddenly all the danger and sieges weren't obstacles anymore. He could even graciously allow me to attend their wedding. How could someone be so cruel? I held back tears, gritting my teeth, bitterness in my throat. "Get out." But Isabella pushed further. "Dom, I don't know many people here. I'd like sister to be our bridesmaid, but I'm afraid of offending her." Seeing his beloved so careful and pleading, Dominic softened, ordering me, "Scarlett, since you know we're getting married, being a bridesmaid is nothing. You won't mind, right? I don't want to see you. Get out." My anger exploded. I grabbed a stick from the corner and drove them out. "Get out." I slammed the door and collapsed, gasping for breath. A tear of despair slipped from my eye. In my grief, my phone suddenly lit UPA message from Vincent. I opened it irritably, then blushed. "Red suits you. Beautiful. Take off those heels. Apply medicine." I was surprised he knew my ankle was swollen. Medicine? As I wondered, a drone flew to my window with a box attached. Inside was a red dress and medicine. So he'd already found Dominic's hideout but hadn't acted. I'd really found the right ally. After applying the medicine, I was about to sleep when Dominic returned. He picked me up gently, placed me on the bed, holding bruise medicine. "Don't be scared. Let me apply this." It seemed to be raining outside. Dominic was soaked but still dried his hands carefully before gently applying medicine. I was terrified of pain. When I first started fighting with Dominic, even a scratch would make me cry hysterically. Whenever I was hurt, Dominic would ignore his own injuries to stay by my side, letting me bite his arm through the pain. Those years were hard, but I felt safe. But somehow, he stopped appearing by my bedside. Later, through countless near-death experiences and scars big and small, he never spared me another glance. Now that I wasn't afraid of pain anymore, he was eager to care for me again. A change of heart? Dominic's apologetic voice came. "Scarlett, you've lost weight. I've been neglecting you. I'm sorry. About the marriage I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to overthink. Bella saved my life and got targeted because of me. I have to protect her. But don't worry, I won't touch her. I only love you. Once I deal with Vincent, I'll divorce and marry you. Properly, okay?" He massaged my ankle while I stared at the wedding ring on his finger. I looked at Dominic with sorrowful eyes. "Dominic, have you ever loved me all these years?" He froze momentarily, then knelt and pulled me into his arms, professing deeply, "Yes, I only love you, Scarlett." Then he fed me the milk he'd brought, gazing at me tenderly. "Here, drink some milk. Sleep early. If you want to come to the wedding tomorrow, I won't stop you." But I tasted if milk was drugged with sleeping pills. Enough to knock me out for all of tomorrow. My throat felt strangled, suffocating me. He was still lying to me, just to ensure Isabella's smooth wedding. So this was how he'd keep me quiet. I drank it all, a tear rolling down as my heart died. But Dominic smiled so brilliantly, watching me gently as I closed my eyes. What he didn't know was that years of fighting for him had given me chronic insomnia. I was resistant to sleeping pills. Soon, Isabella's moans filled my ears. Dom, you were gone so long I thought you'd moved in here. Dominic kissed her passionately. Never. She's just a human shield for bullets. Vincent still watching may need to keep her close. To use her. Vincent won't go for the kill with her around. Isabella pouted. Where are those hands going? Stop it. I can't stop. Dominic's voice was low and husky. The sound of rustling clothes intensified as they kissed desperately. My heart felt torn open, the pain unbearable. To Dominic, I'd always submitted unconditionally. He'd never been this tender and wild with me. Scarlett, can you take the fall for me? Scarlett, I'm in a shootout with Vincent. Come help. And I'd always agree to anything, even at the cost of my life. Finally they left, and I couldn't sleep all night. Early morning. I left with my backpack. Half the island was empty, everyone was preparing for the wedding. I handed the requisition to the dock keeper. I need a speedboat. The supervisor looked shocked. Scarlett, it's dangerous out there. What if you're spotted alone? Dom told us not to let you leave alone. Without you here, no one can manage things if something goes wrong. Dominic had promised once he controlled Miami, he'd marry me as Mrs. Sterling. To marry him sooner, I'd raid territories at night and handle island affairs by day, working myself to exhaustion. But if Dominic really loved me, how could he let me exhaust myself? And ignore my efforts? He didn't love me, so everything I did was pointless. Does Dom know you're leaving? He was one of the few who knew our real relationship and how much Dominic valued me. Though Dominic never showed favoritism in front of his men, never crossed boundaries with me, even beat me half to death publicly to establish authority. But the supervisor kept asking I was leaving on Dominic's wedding day, which felt wrong. He knows. He signed the form. The supervisor hesitated but gave me the speedboat under my urging. Driving the speedboat through cold, salty wind, I finally felt the reality of leaving. This was truly betraying Dominic, taking secrets to his biggest enemy, Vincent. What expression would he have when he found out? I could only think maliciously. Crossing into new waters, a massive yacht sat on the ocean, a wedding on deck. Helicopters dropped rose petals from above, covering the nearby sea. The speakers were so loud I could hear Dominic's vows to Isabella from afar. Bella, you once said people in our line shouldn't have lovers. So I hid my feelings, afraid you'd become my weakness, afraid you'd get hurt. But now I want to tell you you're my weakness and my armor. To marry you, I waited. 7 years, planned everything. Now my dream comes true. Yes, he loved her, so he hid it from everyone, including me. All his love for Isabella now made his promises to me a joke. I glanced sideways, catching sight of a man and woman standing on deck, pure and romantic. Dominic's gaze seemed to meet mine across the distance. He froze. Scarlett? My heart clenched painfully. He seemed gripped by intense anxiety, as if about to lose something vital. Isabella grabbed his hand, laughing sweetly. Dom, you must be seeing things. Sister drank your drugged milk, still sleeping. Dominic's confusion faded, but he secretly decided to comfort me properly when he returned. He'd spend the rest of his life making it up to me if needed. But he didn't know I was already speeding further away. Mr. Sterling, do you take Miss Isabella to be your wife, in sickness and health? The priest's solemn vows were suddenly interrupted. Boss, we have a problem. A subordinate ran up frantically, shouting, Boss, Scarlett. Scarlett's gone. Dominic's smile froze instantly. He stood stunned, unable to react for a long moment. Then, as if hearing a joke, he reflexively denied it. What nonsense are you spouting? Scarlett's sleeping in her room. How could she be gone? He'd personally given her that milk, watched her drink it. Scarlett couldn't possibly wake up. Dominic frowned coldly, ordering his men, take him away. Don't let him disturb our wedding. The subordinate fell to his knees begging, insisting he was telling the truth. Boss, I'm not lying. Miss Scarlett really is gone. We searched the whole island. Before he could finish, another man kicked him down, stepping on his face. Shut up. Can't you see it's Dom's big day? Show some respect, kid. Dominic's face darkened. Lock him up. I'll deal with him when I get back. The subordinate was dragged away. The wedding continued. The priest's voice rang out again. Mr. Sterling, do you take Miss Isabella to be your wife, in poverty and wealth, in health? Dominic heard nothing after that. His mind kept repeating one phrase. Miss Scarlett is gone. Remembering how Scarlett looked at him last night, hopeful, desolate, desperate, his heart grew increasingly uneasy. Even facing the woman he'd sworn to marry after years of longing, he seemed to see Scarlett's beautiful face. It was his first time seeing her so feminine last night. She was gone. Was it real? Dominic's heart clenched painfully, suddenly hollow, intense anxiety and regret flooding over him. Dom. Isabella called him back to reality. What's wrong? Dom, the priest is asking you. Isabella looked at him with confusion and embarrassment. The wedding guests watched Dominic in bewilderment. Dominic rubbed his nose bridge, signaling to continue. The priest asked again, Mr. Sterling, do you take Miss Isabella as your wife? Dominic gripped Isabella's hand, swearing sincerely, I do. Before the last word came out, another shout interrupted. Boss. Scarlett's gone. This time it was the dock supervisor, panting and sweating as if he'd run laps around the island. Dominic finally panicked, releasing Isabella's hand to demand, what exactly happened? Explain clearly. The supervisor bent over, gasping, Scarlett took a speedboat from me today, said she'd cleared it with you. I didn't think twice and gave it to her. But just now someone reported Vincent's boats nearby, and Scarlett seemed to be heading toward Vincent. I got worried and searched her room without permission. All her documents are gone. Boss, is Scarlett defecting? Dominic's face grew darker with each word. He'd never imagined Scarlett would betray him and run. She'd loved him for 10 years, given him everything without complaint. She'd been through the worst with him, but now when he was one step from success, Scarlett had abandoned him? How was that possible? He'd clearly comforted her, promised to divorce Isabella after this crisis and marry her with the grandest wedding. He'd already promised, decided. To give her status, to go public. Why couldn't Scarlett just wait a bit longer? What was she playing at? Isabella, seeing Dominic's silence, assumed he'd accepted Scarlett's defection. She hugged his arm, cooing, Dom, you put so much into our wedding. It's just one subordinate gone, you can look after the ceremony. Everyone's watching, don't spoil the mood, okay? You waited so long, we can finally be together. The wedding can't stop now. But Dominic's mind was in chaos, unable to process her words. Countless threads tangled together, but Dominic still couldn't understand why Scarlett would leave him. Just hearing she'd taken all her documents made his hands tremble with panic. Dominic instinctively wanted to leave the ceremony to find Scarlett, but Isabella wouldn't allow any disruption to the wedding. She clung tightly to his arm, pleading pitifully, Dom, where are you going? Everyone's watching. You can't leave me here alone. Absolutely not, husband. Her pulling made Dominic pause, showing reluctance. Isabella cried beautifully, nearly fainting, Dom, Scarlett adores you so much. How could she bear to leave? This might be playing hard to get, trying to trick you back. If you go, you'll fall for it. As if Isabella's words cleared his mind, Dominic thought for a moment, his expression returning to normal with a cold snort, right, she's followed me. So long, loves me to death. How could she bear to leave? Must be throwing a tantrum about my marriage, trying to get my attention. She really is. The supervisor waited below for orders, then asked carefully, Boss, should we still look for her? Dominic pulled Isabella back to the center of the platform, glancing at him impatiently, no need. Let her stew. She'll show up after the wedding. From now on, no more interruptions to the wedding. Anyone without sense won't live long. With Dominic's warning, the sacred symphony played again, and other subordinates who'd come to report retreated from the yacht. No one cared about who was missing anymore. Dominic and Isabella exchanged rings and kissed deeply amid flowers and blessings. The ceremony was complete. Chapter 2. After leaving the yacht, Dominic ordered his men to find me. Then he rushed to my room. Seeing the unchanged furnishings, he still thought I was throwing a tantrum. Anger surged as he questioned, Scarlett, you've sulked long enough. The wedding's overtime to come out. Don't think I'll always indulge you. You interrupted my wedding with Bella several times today. You must apologize to her, or I won't forgive you. Driven by rage, he searched everywhere for clues to where I might be hiding. But my ID and personal items were indeed gone. He couldn't help overthinking. Was Scarlett serious? Opening a drawer, he suddenly saw a familiar diary. It was the one he'd had sent to Isabella when he thought he was dying. But he wondered why it was in my drawer. Dominic froze, instinctively opening it, only to see my handwriting on the first page. Fuck off, Dominic. I'm done serving you. His hands trembled as he flipped through what he'd written. Skimming through, he realized every word was a knife to me. He seemed to see things from my perspective, choking on these words, unable to breathe. Only. Now did Dominic realize how absurd his past actions had been to me. His phone vibrated. He received an anonymous message, finally getting what you deserve? The next message followed immediately, I'll love her properly for you. No need to thank me. The sender even added a happy emoji, showing his extreme excitement. Dominic's temples throbbed, veins bulging on his wrist as he punched the table. Fuck. Vincent. His sudden rage startled Isabella, who'd just changed clothes. Dominic roared at his men outside, everyone. Off the island. Find Scarlett at any cost. Even if you have to tear apart Vincent's hideout, find Scarlett. Though Dominic was furious, Isabella secretly rejoiced, mockingly comforting, husband, if Scarlett's gone, you still have me. Miami's already your territory, losing her isn't a big deal. Why care about that bitch? Isabella got too cocky, her words too harsh. Dominic's expression changed. For the first time, he felt his innocent angel had become so dark. If it were Scarlett, she'd be the first one searching everywhere. Only Scarlett was that kin so kind it made him feel filthy in comparison. Dominic clenched his fists, voice cold, you want her gone? Seeing Dominic glare at her darkly over me, Isabella pouted, trying to explain, husband, I didn't mean that. I just love you too much to control myself. Dominic threw the diary in her face, roaring, can't control yourself. So you deliberately showed her this? You must have done something. You drove her away from me. You used these dirty tricks to force her away. Isabella's legs went weak. She fell to her knees but maintained composure. No, husband. You told me Scarlett was your most important person. How would I dare hurt her? I lost the diary when I arrived on the island. Scarlett must have found it. Before she finished, a loud slap struck her face. Isabella's cheek swelled, blood trickling from her mouth. She looked at Dominic in disbelief. He'd always treasured her like a jewel, afraid she'd melt in his mouth or break in his hands, loving her with everything. He'd rather abandon me to marry her, yet Dominic had hit her. I said I'd marry you, compensate you. How dare you drive her away? If you hadn't saved my life, you think I'd marry you? What makes you think you can surpass her? Dominic's eyes were bloodshot, his roar deafening. Isabella was terrified, crawling to his feet, grabbing his pants, desperately begging, Dom, I didn't mean to. I didn't know sister would be so extreme. I just love you too much. I don't want to share you with another woman. But Dominic was terrifyingly cold. He bent down. Eyes red as if dripping blood, his large hand gripping Isabella's jaw. He said word by word, sinister and horrifying, but you still deserve to die. I'm very generous about sharing you. He kicked Isabella away. She rolled like a ball, covered in blood and mud, utterly pathetic. Dominic handed her to his men, give her to the boys below to play with. Take it easy. Let her live longer. Meanwhile, I'd already entered Vincent's territory. He looked at me in my red dress with interest, unable to resist asking, why didn't you bring your 2 machetes? I paused, not expecting him to mention those weapons. After chasing him 9 blocks that time, he caught me but I refused to drop my twin blades no matter what. He'd mocked me, saying with such crude behavior, Dominic would never marry me. I was asking for suffering. Unexpectedly, his words came true. Seeing my expression, Vincent immediately raised his hands in surrender, changing the subject. Okay, my bad. Consider me tongue-tied. I was surprised. Dominic never apologized to me. He only looked down on me from his pedestal. But Vincent seemed different. I suppressed the bitterness in my heart, curving my red lips in feigned nonchalance. The blades are rusty, and so are some people. As you said before, when it's time to throw things away, you should. Vincent, why apologize? You should congratulate me. The sea wind was salty with a hint of coolness. But Vincent's gaze held unstoppable heat. We stood in the sea breeze, silent. For a long while before he smiled meaningfully, congratulations indeed. Congratulations on escaping your dark past and embracing rebirth. Also congratulations to me. I turned, confused. Congratulations for what? Congratulations, for finally stealing you away. Vincent's eyes gazed at me, full of starlight. My heart skipped a beat, feeling my face warm. I shook my head seriously, just a transaction, Vincent. I haven't sold myself to you. Hearing this, Vincent laughed heartily, eyes tender, yes, you're too smart. You're a treasure money can't buy. I pursed my lips. In my decades with Dominic, I'd fought desperately for his money and power, planning everything. Working both sides of the law. But in the end, all I got was his betrayal. All those promises of eternal love were lies. Only money and power in your own hands were real. Even facing an opponent like Vincent who knew me inside out, I wouldn't gamble with myself again. What I traded with him was never myself. After you take over Dominic's operations, I only want half his cash and real estate. Tell me all his shipping routes, and I'll agree. I paused, then continued, except for corps lieutenants, don't wipe out the foot soldiers. Let them work for you if possible, just so they can make a living. Finally, let me go. No. Vincent approached, bending to stare straight at me, brooking no argument. I'll agree to everything else. Not the last one. I bit my lip, glaring. Why not? Vincent pinched my cheek, laughing softly, because I want to pursue you. Wait until I take down Dominic. Then whether you stay or go is your choice. That night, I tossed and turned, Vincent's words echoing in my mind. Because I want to pursue you. I couldn't sleep, suddenly remembering what Dominic had told Isabella last night. Vincent holds back because of her. He won't kill me. Why? Why would Vincent hold back from killing Dominic because of me? I sat up abruptly, feeling restless, and went downstairs for fresh air. Suddenly, someone draped a blanket over my shoulders. Vincent leaned against the railing in his pajamas. Looking exasperated, cold wind in the middle of the night, even the best constitution can't handle such abuse. Fingering the blanket, I replied flatly, thanks. You could have pretended not to see me. I chose Vincent simply because I believed he could beat Dominic. After so many encounters, I knew his capabilities. But I didn't want any emotional entanglement. That would only repeat my mistakes. Yet Vincent's gaze remained fixed on me, his deep eyes seeming to see through all my pretenses. But I did see you. I can't help wanting to be good to you. What should I do, Scarlett? Am I worse than him? Scarlett, don't you want to try with me? The man's voice was too seductive, even his breathing seemed deliberately enticing. The question made my heart tremble. Did I really not want to try with Vincent? The moment I came to him, I seemed already bound to him. The dim light illuminated his handsome face. Actually, Vincent was really good looking. Definitely more handsome than Dominic. I felt genuinely guilty about my shallow attraction to looks. That bewitching voice continued, if you feel nothing for me, why wear the red dress I sent? Why come to me first when in trouble? Aren't you afraid I'd take advantage? Or maybe, deep down, you already. Each question seemed to strip away my thoughts layer by layer. Why did I choose him? Just for his ability to use him against Dominic? Or was it the countless times he'd caught and released me, creating dependence? Or was I simply, physically attracted to him? I'm not attracted to your body. I blurted out. Turning to explain, I crashed into Vincent's embrace. Seeing his smiling eyes, I realized I'd fallen into his trap. I felt ashamed of my loose tongue. Vincent was already laughing. He grabbed my hands, raising them overhead, pressing me against the wall. You said it yourself. I didn't force you. I was dizzy with anger, instinctively kicking at him. But he laughed even more, rubbing his head and pulling me into his arms. That's more like it. Look what weak character Dominic fostered in you. When you're upset, fight back. That's the real Scarlett. Fight back when upset. That's the real Scarlett. That sentence made my eyes red. Buried in Vincent's neck, I suddenly felt safe. He carried me back to my room, patting my head gently. Sleep. Leave everything to me. I hummed softly, not knowing what to say. Seeing him turn to leave, I suddenly felt unreal. I blurted out, that's it? The words came out wrong, as if I expected him to do something. I buried myself under the covers, hiding for a long time. Thinking he must have left, I slowly peeked out. Just as I breathed fresh air, a shadow fell over me and lips sealed mine. Suddenly, overwhelming kisses rained down. Vincent's voice was low but firm. Scarlett, I won't let you lose. I've waited a long time for this. Day 2. Between tangled breaths, Vincent whispered endless sweet words in my ear. I remembered nothing. But I deeply felt his fierce passion as he thrust forward. Later, with my inside information, Vincent swallowed Dominic's territory completely. Fighting for over a decade through blood and rain to seize territory, yet it crumbled so easily. Dominic knew better than anyone this had my fingerprints all over it. Some sensed trouble and defected immediately, selling Dominic's whereabouts to Vincent. Vincent found the already broken Isabella in the basement of the villa where he fought Dominic. I could only sigh evil begets evil. I saw Dominic one last time. He was locked in a dungeon, disheveled and pathetic. He stammered for ages without completing a sentence, just looking at my face hopefully, shaking his head in pain. Scarlett, I finally see you again. Everything before was my fault. I really regret it. Please forgive me, okay? Looking at the once high and mighty mob boss Dominic, I didn't know how to react. Could his display of deep emotion erase all the hurt he'd caused me? This was the first time Dominic had cried in front of me since Isabella appeared. I'd once been moved by his tears, thinking heaven had sent me the closest lover. Who knew it was all an illusion? Dominic's eyes were bloodshot, pupils scattered. Scarlett, after you left, I wanted to kill myself. Seeing the room full of weapons and guns, I realized what terrible things I'd done. Everything was Isabella's manipulation. I never meant to betray you. I only love you, Scarlett. I avenged you with Isabella. She got what she deserved. I've been atoning to you. But hearing him now, I only found it absurd. He never thought he was wrong. He was still the same cold, ruthless Dominic. I looked at him coldly, feeling nothing. Atoning? You think killing Isabella makes up for what you did to me? The person you should punish most is yourself, because the one who hurt me deepest was only you. Not getting my forgiveness, Dominic despaired, breaking down. I really know I was wrong. I want to spend my life making it up to you. Just come back to me. He made me laugh with anger. Dominic, I came to see you one last time today. Not to reconcile, not to hear your confession. I just wanted closure. We're completely finished. I found someone more worthy of my trust. With those final words, I turned and left, never looking back. Behind me, Dominic roared, trust. Who will you trust? Vincent? No. Scarlett. I don't agree. Anyone but him. Not Vincent, Scarlett. Why him? I didn't respond, letting his voice fade behind me. Walking out of the dungeon into the dawn light, Vincent leaned against the car door, dispersing smoke. He raised an eyebrow, spreading his arms with a smile. I ran into his embrace. Vincent kept his promise, transferring all of Dominic's cash and real estate to my name. He even transferred himself to my household registration. In Vincent's words, I'm the Russo family's live-in son-in-law. Scarlett, you have to support me. I slapped his face. Devouring me at night. And wanting me to support him during the day? Get lost, you bastard. The end.